Welcome back to another Spirit Island video. In this video, I'm going to be continuing my tier list, this time looking at A tier. Once again, I have my criteria here. We have our S tier, our A tier, and our B tier. Our A tier, this is going to be cards that are above the baseline power level. Cards in this tier are must-pick cards unless other S or A tier cards are in the draft. Usually, these cards alone can win the game. And obviously, this is going to be dependent on the spirit, but due to the flexibility of these cards, a lot of spirits can make use of these cards. Once again, each line is going to be the level of strength. So at the very top, these are top of A, these are bottom of A. Now, the particular order within this line, I just have them in a random order. So looking at the bottom of A tier, we have Flocking Red Talons. This is a 3 energy fast power. It's an air, water, plant, animal card. It is 3 range from a wetland. It adds a beast, move up to 2 beasts within 3. To target land, for each beast, choose a different invader, 1 damage, and then push 1 explorer or town per beast. And then if you have the 2/2/3 threshold, you get to do it again. This card is a Nature Incarnate Major, and it is very, very flexible. I find myself picking this card up on pretty much any spirit. It's always an option. It's fast damage, fast disruption. It's great against France, great against Russia, HME, Sweden. It's just phenomenal against pretty much every adversary. I think England is like the one adversary where I'd probably not take this card, but it's great against the rest of the adversaries. Now, one of the things I really love about this card is it is a beast major, and there's two really focused beast spirits, and that is your Many Minds and your Fangs. Now, Many Minds has all of these animal air cards, but it lacks the plant. And this card requires plant to threshold. Now, if you look at Fangs, Fangs is the opposite. Fangs has a lot of plant, but it lacks the air. And it just shows just how great of design they did with this card. Like, you have two beast spirits that absolutely want this card, but they're missing one small element to threshold it. So it rewards players that are kind of trying to draft that off element. Now, of course, if you're another spirit like Stone, trying to threshold this is going to be fairly difficult. So they gave those beast spirits a slight edge to thresholding it, but they still need an extra piece. Another spirit that loves thresholding this card is Wounded Waters. But once again, I believe Wounded Waters is lacking that air. It is. But yeah, so Flocking Red Talons, an excellent pickup. I pick this card on pretty much any spirit that I'm playing. The next card is Sleep and Never Waken. It's a 3 energy fast moon, air, earth animal. 2 range from a sands. Invaders skip all actions and target land. 1 fear per 2 explorers this card removes. And then it says remove 2 explorers. If you have the 3/2/2 threshold, you get to remove up to 6 explorers from among your lands. So this card is a Russia killer. It kills France, kills Russia, kills HME. And that is because you can mass remove explorers. And that's mainly why it's an A tier. Like, if one player picks this card up into Russia, you could just, the whole lobby wins. Like, the whole team wins. It doesn't really matter what's going on. Just because once this card gets going, it just destroys the adversary. I mean, and it's also just worse. At worst, it's a skip, right? Like, skips are great. A skip at 3 energy is fairly costed, and it's 4 elements. So, just a great card. I pick it up all the time. Regardless of spirit, it always has text. Bargains of Coursing Path. It's a 2 energy fast moon, air, water, earth. It is a 0 range targeting a land with 2 Dahan. It is a bargains effect, and it also is another NI major. The cost is 1 presence now and minus 1 energy per turn. This is just that bargains text. You're going to mark the target land and another land where 2 Dahan are present, and both of those lands they become portals. And then after pieces are added or moved into the marked lands, move those pieces anywhere on the island. So it creates a zone on the board that pushes everything out of that zone, essentially. If you'd like, you get to choose. Now, if you have the 3/2/2 threshold, the presence comes from the tracks, so it is a proliferation effect if you can threshold it. This card combos so well with Ocean because now Whenever something moves into the portal land, oh, it gets pushed into the ocean. So it allows for some very powerful effects like that. It also is really good on spirits that have trouble growing. Like if you're like stone, for instance. When stone is in a reclaim loop, it has to place presence in mountain or in lands where it already has presence. Now, if you have a portal in a mountain or one of those lands, whenever you grow into that land, the presence can be put anywhere on the island. So it has some really cool synergy there. It's one of those cards that gets a lot better early on in the game and begins to fall off in the late game. But I find it just very strong regardless of the spirit that I'm playing. Infinite Vitality, 3 energy, fast. It's a Earth Plant Animal card, Sacred Site 1 range. Dahan have +4 health while in target land. Whenever Blight would be added to target land, instead leave it on the card. If you have the 4 Earth, Dahan become invincible, and you get to remove a Blight from a target or adjacent land. Now, the threshold on this card is very difficult to hit. There are a few spirits that can hit it. 4 Earth, like I said, 4 Earth, difficult to hit threshold. Same with those 3/3 thresholds. And what makes this card so powerful, or why I have it in A tier, is this is one of the few cards in the game that can prevent players from outright completely losing. Or let me rephrase. There are situations in the game where your back may be against the wall and you're looking for an out. This is one of the few cards that tends to come up as that out or that one way that can prevent the whole team from losing. Especially if you have a player that has Blight pretty much everywhere on their board. Infinite Vitality can save the day. This card has won so many games for me. It's just an excellent pickup into Sweden, into Habsburg livestock, into Russia, stopping those multiple ravages from occurring. It's essentially a 3 energy skip, but it doesn't have any fear. So just a very solid card all around. I think I actually had it rated higher in my previous list. I think I overrated it just a little bit, but I think at the bottom of A tier, I think is pretty solid. Trees radiate celestial brilliance. It is a 3 energy fast sun moon plant, 1 range, targeting a jungle or a land that doesn't have blight. Kind of this targeting restriction tends to get people a lot. It's an aura. It is a 3 fear, defend 6, and then invaders in target land skip the next build. You have this threshold, you get to do 1 damage per sun. This is probably one of my favorite majors in the whole game. Mainly because it is a roots card. Roots like auto thresholds this. A lot of my spirits auto threshold it. Just very flexible. You can use it as a fear bomb. You can use it as a defensive tool. It also can act as a build skip. The targeting restriction is fairly flexible, and then it also can be a damage card. It's just very flexible, and I really like this card. Exaltation of the Incandescent Sky. It's a 7 energy fast sun, fire, air, water, targeting another spirit. Target spirit may play 1 extra card, so essentially it's a spur. They may make 2 cards slow to fast, and they get to do 3 damage in one of their lands. You may do likewise. So this is essentially going to do the top effects twice. And then if you have this crazy 3/3/4/2 threshold, you get 4 fear, or in 4 lands, you get to get individual invader action skips, and then you get 5 fear. The threshold on this is just pretty meh. It's kind of similar to cards like Cast Down, if I could find Cast Down. Where did I put Cast Down? It's very similar to Cast Down. It's also similar to Dream with the Untouched Land, where it has this very large threshold that you're unlikely to hit, but when you do hit it, big things happen. Unfortunately, the big things on this card it's not really that impactful, I find. But the top part is just so strong. It's 6 damage fast for 7 energy. That's why I always find it interesting whenever people point out Fire and Flood, and they talk about how you get to do 8 damage for 7 energy in the slow. It just shows like this is 6 damage fast, and you get to do a lot more. And then obviously the slow to fast is good, and the extra card play is strong too. This is I think it might be the only way you may get slow to fast in the major power deck. I believe so. There might be one other card, but in the minor deck you have Sky Stretch. In the major deck you have Incandescent Sky. Okay, another card in A tier, we have the exploratory version of Vengeance of the Dead. It's a 3 energy fast Moonfire animal. You get 2 fear. After invaders or Dahan are destroyed, deal damage equal to the destroyed piece's base health. If you have the 3 animal, you can use the damage into adjacent lands. This is the base version, so the big change here is you get 1 less fear, but instead of doing 1 damage per building Dahan destroyed, it's just tracking the health that's being destroyed. And I think this is a much needed change. Like I think Vengeance of the Dead base is unplayable, but I think this exploratory version, it has a lot of play. The only thing I would change is just to alter the threshold. I think the threshold's a little bit too easy to hit. I think having maybe 2-3 or maybe making it a 3-3 makes this card a little bit more balanced. I feel like this is a little more cheesy, but it's a great combo card. You combo this with a card like Jungle Hungers, completely nuke a land, and then if this is thresholded, it nukes everything adjacent to that target land. And the last card I have at the bottom of A tier, I have is Infestation of Venomous Spiders. It's a 4 energy fast air earth plant animal. 2 range from a sacred site targeting a land with invaders. You add a beast, gather a beast, and then for each beast, 1 fear, max to 4, and then invaders skip 1 action. If you have this 2/2/3 threshold, after this power causes invaders to skip an action, 4 damage. So this card allows you to skip multiple actions, create beasts, and then do damage if you threshold it. Once again, I mean, skips are good. It's just another skip. I mean, it's a very safe card. Skips win games. Okay, looking at the top of A tier. Looking at the first card, we have Instruments of Their Own Rune. It is a 4 energy sun, fire, air animal. Sacred Site 1 range, add a Strife. Each invader with Strife deal damage to other invaders in target land. If you have the 4/2/2 threshold, instead, invaders ravage in target land. They damage invaders in adjacent lands, and the Dahan don't fight back in that land. So it's essentially a ravage skip that has, or it allows that target land to deal damage into adjacent lands. There could be a very strong argument for bringing this card into S tier, but I think top of A tier is very solid as well. If anything, it's at the very, very top of A tier. I mean, it's just very flexible. I think the biggest drawback or why I don't have it higher is really all of that power is coming from the threshold. The top part is pretty medium. You're just adding a strife to an invader, and then that invader is killing some stuff. Pretty weak into a lot of adversaries. It's obviously very great into Sweden, but outside of that, it's just pretty weak. Well, I mean, you could probably make it work into like Prussia and Scotland too. But if you get that threshold online, this card can just tear through the invaders. And it's funny because it is a sun card. And actually, just look at the top of A tier. Pretty much all these cards have sun, and that's what you're going to notice. As you move up the tier list, just you tend to find more and more sun cards, just because the sun cards are just so powerful. But yep, let's look at another sun card. We have Voice of Command, 3 energy fast, Sun Air, Sacred Site 1 range, targeting a land with Dahan. 1 damage per Dahan/Explorer to buildings only. You then get Defend 2. And then during Ravage actions, Dahan fight alongside Dahan. If you have this 3/2 threshold, you then get to gather up to 2 Explorers /Towns/Dahan. This card is a Russia killer, allowing you to have a land with all of those explorers just immediately ravage, or not ravage, but just do tons of damage to buildings, and then you skip those ravage actions, and then when you threshold it, you're essentially denying extra builds, gathering those explorers, gathering those towns. I mean, it's great into pretty much every adversary outside of England. You'll pick up this card, but I mean, it's 3 energy, so it's very cheap, it's very flexible. Yeah, just a very good card all around. Looking at the next card, we have Unleash a Torrent of the Self's Own Essence. 2 energy fast, Sun, Moon, Fire, Water. Targeting yourself, you gain 4 energy. You may forget a power card to gain 4 more energy, or pay X energy to deal X damage in a land at 0 range. You have the 2/3 threshold, you get to do both options. It's just a very flexible card. You can gain energy, you can deal damage with it. It is restrictive in how you're dealing damage. Now, if you do get a range increase, like Reaching Grasp, that will increase the range of this part down here. This card combos with a lot of spirits, but one of my favorite spirits is Memory with this card. And Memory has that special rule where you can forget power cards in hand, or whenever you would, you can discard them. So what I like to do with this card is I'll forget a card in quotes. By that, I would actually just discard the card, and then it would allow me to essentially gain more energy. So every turn, I'm gaining 8 energy, and then I can do 8 damage at 0 range. Very, very strong. I mean, I pretty much picked this card up on any spirit. I mean, it's fast damage. It's just very flexible. You can also use this as an energy battery too. Tiger's Hunting. This is a card that a lot of players undervalue, but it's so strong. It's 2 energy, fast, sun, moon, animal, 1 range from a jungle, targeting a non-blighted land, 2 fear, add a beast, gather up to 1 beast, 1 damage per beast, then push up to 2 beasts. If you have the 2/2/3 threshold, 1 damage in a adjacent land without blight, and +1 damage per beast there. So it allows you to do, when you threshold it, you can hit 2 lands. It gives you beast mobility. It's fast damage. The biggest thing that's holding this card back is just that blight restriction, and also it has to come from jungles. But the card it's just so flexible. I mean, it doesn't matter what spirit I'm playing. If I'm able to make this card work, I'll pick it up just because it's fast damage and it's beast synergy. Unrelenting Growth, one of my favorite cards in the game. It is a 4 energy slow power sun, fire, water plant. Target spirit adds 2 presence and 1 wilds to a land at 1 range. If you have the very difficult 3/3 threshold, that player gets to heal a blight, add another wilds, and gain a power card. This is your it's like your economy card. You're playing this card, it's going to get you very far ahead. It is a bit clunky, and that's why I don't have it in S tier. If you draft this card in the middle half of the game, it's usually too slow. And in some games, the adversary hits you too fast for this card to actually matter. But there's a lot of games, especially into single level 6s, like England 6, Scotland 6, Russia 6. If you pick this card up early, you're going to just decimate the adversary. I love this card because on Roots, you can pick it up, and your tracks usually look something like this. Like usually your tracks look something like this. You can pick Unrelenting Growth up, and if you're playing like 2 cards, like 2 Sun Plant cards, you can pick Unrelenting Growth, allowing you to unlock the extra plant down here. And then because you unlock that 3rd plant, you immediately get to threshold the card, which is one of my favorite things to do with it. It's also great on Relentless Gaze because it has that Sun Fire. It actually has the water plant as well with Gaze, but that tends to be not as impactful now ever since they nerfed the right innate. But the fact that you can play this on Gaze is pretty fun. Pent-Up Calamity, 3 energy fast, Moonfire, Earth, Plant, Animal. It is a 2 range effect. You either get to add a strife and a disease, or remove any number of tokens, 1 fear and 3 damage per token removed. If you have the 2/3 threshold, if you removed any tokens, return up to 2 of them. Otherwise, you can add some strife. Another very flexible card. You can use this in combo with plenty of spirits, like Wandering Voice to do tons of damage, or Many Minds, or Fangs to just remove a ton of tokens, dealing a ton of damage. It also has 5 elements, so a lot of times you're going to be able to threshold your innates with this card. The threshold on Pent-Up is pretty medium, which is like the only bad thing about it. What else? Oh yeah, so the 1 disease, 1 strife tends to also matter, especially into like sweeting games, I find. Like if I have a land that has Explore Town and it's building a city, I'll play Pent-Up Calamity there, adding the strife to the town, and then the disease stops the city build, so it ends up solving the land, which is a really cool interaction. But yeah, just a very flexible card. Like England, you have the strife, or not the strife, the disease to stop builds. HME, the disease stops those ravages, and then the strife for like France and stuff like that. Very, very good card. Trees and Stones Speak of War. 2 energy fast, sun, earth, plant. 1 range targeting land with Dahan. For each Dahan in target land, 1 damage and 2 defend. If you have the 2/2/2 threshold, you may push up to 2 Dahan, moving each defend with them. This card is so flexible, and I feel like I've said that just with every card here. Because like it doesn't matter what spirit I'm playing, I'm always looking at these cards, and these are always the cards that I'm probably going to pick. But I mean, you get to do fast damage, and it's defend, and it costs 2 energy, and you have 3 elements. It's just solid. I mean, defend cards are good in the game. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. Yeah, just very, very solid. Rapid Wings of Sunlight, 3 energy, fast. Sun, air, animal, 0 range. You get to move 5 Dahan from your target land to any land on the island, and then you get to have defend 5 in that land. If you have this weak 2/2/2 threshold, you get to first gather some Dahan. Just like trees and stones, it allows you to defend a land. It is a little bit pricey, but it does allow you to move Dahan. I actually think this card is fairly reasonable, and there might be a chance I might be overvaluing it. It might be at the bottom of A tier, but I mean, it's just a very, very strong pickup. And lastly, we have another Nature Incarnate Major, Solidify the Echoes of Majesty Past. The 4 energy fast, Sun, Moon, Air, Earth. Choose any spirit. That spirit chooses one of their lands, defend 3 in that land and in each adjacent land. They then add 1 destroyed presence to each adjacent land, skip up to 1 invader action for each destroyed presence. It then has a Sun, Moon, Earth threshold. Target spirit either reclaims 1 power card or regains a unique they previously forgot, and then they may play that card. This card, I used to think it was a lot worse, but this card is just so good. The amount of games this card has saved is unbelievable. Like this, just like Infinite Vitality I mentioned, it's like you get into those games where there's like no outs, and your outs are Infinite Vitality or Solidify, or you lose. Solidify is also one of the only 2 ways you can bring back destroyed presence in the major deck. You have Solidify, and you also have Blazing Renewal. It is also the only way that you can regain majors that you previously forgot. Or not majors, uniques that you previously forgot. So if you forgot a card, a lot of times players will forget a card. If I'm playing Roots, I'll forget like Blooming here. I'll play Solidify, I'll Threshold Solidify, allowing me to regain the card I forgot, and then it says I also get to play it. So it allows me to play the card I forgot for it, which I think is a really cool tech that you can do. One of my favorite combos is with Bringer, and this is a combo one of my friends found, and it is with Midnight's Dream. And it says, target land has Dahan, gain a major power. If you forget this power, gain energy equal to the Dahan. You may then play that major power immediately, paying its cost. So how the combo works is you'll have a land with like 5 Dahan. Let's say there's a land with 5 Dahan. You'll play Call on Midnight's Dream. You'll forget it for a major. You then gain that 5 energy. You then play that major. Let's say the major was pent up. Then I would then play Solidify Echoes, targeting a spirit. Say I target myself. I then regain the card I forgot. So I regain Call on Midnight's Dream. I then get to play Call on Midnight's Dream. So I've used Solidify. Well, now I can do Call on Midnight's Dream again. So essentially, there's like this crazy battery where you can use Call on Midnight's Dream to gain a major. And then you can use Solidify Echoes to regain Call on Midnight's Dream. It's very cool when it works, and yeah, I mean it's quite powerful. So this is my A tier. I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I think if I were to make any changes, I'd possibly moving instruments up a tier, probably wrap slightly down. But yeah, I mean, Sun cards are good cards. If you guys like this video, like, subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys in the next video.